Hey everybody, Mr. Quick here. Today we're going to look at Eureka Math / Engage New York Math, Module 4, Lesson 28, two-step problems. I'm going to show you a few different ways to solve these two-step problems, including tape diagrams, and also just using our knowledge of operations to be able to solve the problems. So let's go ahead and get started with an example. This says, Juan has gained 20 pounds since last year. He now weighs 120 pounds. Rashad is 15 pounds heavier than Diego. If Rashad and Juan weighed the same amount last year, how much does Diego weigh? Let J represent Juan's weight last year in pounds, and let D represent Diego's weight in pounds. Okay, so one way we can do this problem is by using tape diagrams. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually kind of work backwards. So we want to know what Diego's weight is in pounds. So I'm going to start with that, something that we don't know. So I'm going to do a tape diagram. I'm going to call that D for Diego. That is Diego's weight, right? Now, we can compare Diego with Rashad. Rashad is 15 pounds heavier than Diego. So I'm going to create another tape diagram for Rashad. And I'll just put an R for Rashad. Or I'm sorry, I'm going to label this as Rashad. But if you'll notice, I'm going to label this D actually because it's the same weight as Diego. And then I'm going to add a little bit at the end. And I'm going to call that 15 because Rashad's 15 pounds heavier. So these two, well, that's not perfect, but I can fix that actually. Get it a little closer. These two, you'll see here and here, have the exact same weight, except then Rashad is 15 pounds heavier. Then, if we notice, it says Juan has gained 20 pounds since last year. He weighs 120. Rashad and Juan weighed the same amount last year. So, then this amount is Juan, because again, let me fix that a little bit. Juan weighed the same amount as Rashad, but then we're going to add a little bit more because since he weighed the same as Rashad, right, which is right here, he's gained 20 pounds. The other thing that we know is he now weighs 120. So this whole weight, this whole thing is 120 pounds. Now we can start working backwards. So if this whole weight here is 120 pounds, that would mean that Juan's weight before he gained the 20 pounds was 100 pounds, right? And since he weighed the same as Rashad, then I can say that Rashad's whole weight was 100 pounds, right? And if Rashad is 100 pounds and he weighs 15 pounds more than Diego, take that 100 and subtract the 15 pounds more that he weighs, we get 85. So Diego equals 85 pounds, or weighs 85 pounds. So it's complicated. There's a lot there, but if you just take it slowly and take it step by step and make sure that everything makes sense, then it's not as bad, right? You can kind of piece it together. Now, the next thing we should do is to look at this and say, does that make sense? So if Diego weighs 85 pounds, right, D equals 85, Rashad's 15 pounds heavier than Diego, which would be 100 pounds. Juan and Rashad weighed the same, which is 100 pounds. And then Juan gained 20 pounds. He should weigh 120, and it tells us he weighs 120. So we can check our work by going backwards there. Okay, that's one way to do it. Let's look at another problem together. All right, Marissa has twice as much money as Frank. Christina has $20 more than Marissa. If Christina has $100, how much money does Frank have? Let F represent the amount of money Frank has in dollars, and M the amount of money Marissa has in dollars. A couple ways we can do this. Let's start out with Frank. Frank has a certain amount of money. We don't know how much it is, but we're going to let F represent that amount of money. However much he has F dollars, right? So if we go back, we see that Marissa has twice as much as Frank. twice as much. I'm going to put M here for Marissa, F here for Frank, so we can keep it straight. That means she has the same amount Frank has, but she has 2 of that amount. So you have to double it, right? He has F, then she has 2 Fs. Going back to the problem, oops, Christina has $20 more than Marissa. So then Christina has, I'll put C for Christina. Christina has this amount, which is Marissa's amount, which is the same as 2 Fs, right? And then she has an extra $20. Christina's total amount of money is $100. So, now we can start working this out. I'm going to write up in red, but I'm going to focus on this problem right here. We have, Christina has, what do I want to say? The same amount of money that Marissa has, plus $20. So she has Marissa's amount, which is M, plus 20, which is down here. And together, that equals $100. Now, I know I want to isolate the variable. I want to get that M by itself. I see addition, so I'm going to subtract 20. So we get M equals, I have to subtract 20 on both sides, 80. So Marissa's grand total, we now know, is $80. So Marissa's amount is $80. Now, she has 2 Franks, and that is equal to $80. If we want to find out how much she has if we just look at Frank's amount, which is 1 Frank, we're going to get that F by itself. We're going to divide by 2. We'll divide this side by 2. Those cancel out. F equals 80 divided by 2, which is going to be 40. So Frank has $40. All right? That's mathematically one good way to do it. I'm going to show you another way. This is kind of how I would look at it. Nothing against tape diagrams, but everyone has different ways to look at math, and so if you're not a real visual person, this may help. I'm going to just take notes, right? I'm going to say, okay, Christina has got $100. Okay, I'm going to write the dollar symbol. I'm just trying to focus on the numbers right now. Christina has $100. I just represented that. She has $20 more than Marissa. So if I take 20 away from Christina, I have Marissa's amount. So I know that's 80. Marissa has twice as much money as Frank. So Frank has to have half this amount. Half of 80 is 40. There you go. That's how I look at it. I can kind of logically think about who has what amount of money. I kind of put them in order, right? From greatest to least, based on what I know from the word problem, and I get there. Either way you get there, as long as you get to the right answer and you can explain your thinking, that's the important thing, that you understand how you get there. It's fine by me. But like I said, as long as you can explain your thinking. Let's do one more problem. Raina is twice as old as Madeline, and Laura is 10 years older than Raina. If Laura is 50 years old, how old is Madeline? Let M represent Madeline's age in years, and let R represent Raina's age in years. So again, I'm going to show you, this is how I think about it. So right now we know Laura is 50 years old. So I'm going to write Laura is 50 years old. I'll write that a little bit better than that. There we go. Laura is 50. Laura is 10 years older than Raina. So if I take away 10 from 50, I'm going to get Raina's age. So R is 50 minus 10. I know Raina is 40 years old. Raina is twice as old as Madeline. So if 40 is twice as old as Madeline, Madeline has to be half as old as 40, which is 20. So Madeline would then be 20 years old. That's how I would think about it. Let's look at it with a tape diagram just so you can see it both ways. All right, so we have Madeline. I'll put M here for Madeline. Raina is twice that amount, so that means Raina is 2 Madelines. And then Laura is the same age as Raina plus 10. I also know that Laura is 50, so we have R plus 10 equals 50. We want to get that R by itself. I see plus 10. I'm going to subtract 10 on both sides. We get R equals 40. So now I know Raina is 40. So we have 2 M's equals 40. I want to get that by itself. So I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. That cancels out. M equals 40 divided by 2, which is 20. So Madeline is 20 years old. Okay, I showed you a few different ways to do both of those problems, or those kind of problems. We'll talk about more of these. We'll look at more of these and talk about more, whatever I'm trying to say. It's very late right now. I'm recording this. We'll talk about these in class. We'll look at them more in class. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this has helped, and I'll see you soon.